Boston Bruins are getting ready to host the Florida Panthers. They'll play the Atlantic Division leaders for the first time since October, if you can believe it. And first line right winger Jake DeBrusk is the team's Masterton Trophy nominee. We're going to talk about all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren. And this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Tuesday, April 26th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. Please do smash that subscribe button on your podcast app, as well as on YouTube. Each new episode will be automatically added to your feeds for you to download, listen, watch, and enjoy. If you could also rate and review, that'd be very much appreciated, especially if you are an Apple user. For those of you still on Twitter after yesterday's sale, you can follow the podcast at Locked NHL Bruins. You can follow me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. That's McLaren. And you can find the podcast and myself on Instagram using the exact same handles. Now, the Bruins will be hosting the Atlantic Division leading Florida Panthers tonight at TD Garden. Going to tee up that game here in a moment, but first I wanted to talk a bit more about the Masterton Trophy nomination for Jake DeBrusk. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the Masterton Trophy, it is awarded annually to the NHL player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to the game. Each of the Professional Hockey Writers Association's 32 chapters submit a nomination for the trophy, and then the top three vote getters, as determined by a vote from the whole PHWA, they will be designated as finalists. The Masterton Trophy this year, along with other NHL awards, will be awarded between Games 3 and 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. Now, here's what the PHWA had to say about DeBrusk's nomination. Quote, despite a challenging last few seasons, the 25-year-old DeBrusk has persevered to play some of the best hockey of his career after an uncomfortable trade request was made public in December. He spoke to teammates on December 1st and told them the honest truth, with Taylor Hall revealing DeBrusk told them his career was at a crossroads. DeBrusk scored the next night, went quiet through the holidays, and a trade never materialized. He busted out with 8 goals in an 8-game stretch, and even though he signed a 2-year extension with the Bruins on trade deadline day, just to take the fear of his qualifying offer off the table for interested teams, GM Don Sweeney still wasn't able to find a taker. Through it all, DeBrusk has notched 23 goals, his best output in 4 seasons, and is knocking on the door of a career high in points, and perhaps a fresh start elsewhere this summer. So, DeBrusk's perseverance, sportsmanship, dedication to the game comes amid this trade request. He was bumped up to the top line, kind of at a necessity, as Pastrnak came down to play with Taylor Hall and Eric Halla. Craig Smith finding chemistry with Craig Smith, Trent Frederick on the Oceans line. there really wasn't anywhere else for DeBrusk to play, so they put him up on the top line. Joe Haggerty, who is the head of Boston's PHWA chapter, wrote the following on Boston Hockey Now, which adds a bit of context. As a young single player without a family, the lockdown COVID protocols were very difficult for DeBrusk over the previous couple of seasons, and that clearly played into his play suffering on the ice. But for the time being, DeBrusk has kept fully focused on the job at hand with the Boston Bruins and has played a more consistently strong all-around game in a year that's been challenging for him personally and professionally. That's worthy of recognition, even if it's simply about DeBrusk putting his head down and getting his job done at a time when it wasn't as easy as it's been in the past for the former first-round pick. Now, this award is a bit tricky because it's generally awarded to players who have, overcome injury, overcome personal issues, who have experienced some sort of major illness or trauma. So it's a tricky award, and I get that. For me, if I had a vote, I would have gone with David Pastrnak. Back in the summer, Pastrnak announced that his infant son had passed away. The Bruins star winger and his girlfriend, Rebecca Rolson, had welcomed their first child, Vigo Roll Pastrnak, on June 17th, and he passed away at just 6 days old. The Bruins posted a statement on Twitter saying, "We are heartbroken by the passing of David and Rebecca's son Vigo. David and Rebecca are a part of our family. We share in their loss. Please keep them in your thoughts and respect their privacy during this very difficult time." A lot of teams replied to the tweet with their condolences. Pastrnak scored only 8 goals through the month of December. His next will be his 40th. And, when I posted this on Twitter yesterday that I would have gone with Pastrnak, I got a few very fair comments. One saying, "I and others believe he was likely the intended nominee, but pulled himself from the voting. If you have lost a child, it's easy to understand, but I know it may not be immediately apparent to those who haven't. My wife and I, we experienced a miscarriage before our first and second sons. We kind of get that. But the fact is, we know that one award voter, Ty Anderson, published his vote, and he had Pastrnak on his ballot number 1. So it doesn't seem the case that he removed himself necessarily. I got another tweet at me saying Pasta deserves it in a vacuum, but I can also see why people wouldn't want to vote for him. Do you really want to nominate a guy for an award because he lost his kid? Would Pasta even want to be nominated for an award for that reason? Very fair. Perhaps some Boston voters left him off his ballot in order to not, bring that back up. But again, the whole nature of the award, it often reminds, last year's winner, Oscar Lindblom, cancer diagnosis. Craig Anderson won a couple years ago for playing through his wife's cancer diagnosis. It's a tricky award, but by definition, I believe David Pastrnak should have been Boston's nominee. That's who I would have voted for if I had a vote. Failing that, if Tuukka Rask, his comeback had been successful, he would have been a no-brainer. Off-season hip surgery, lengthy rehab, played a couple games, ultimately announced his retirement. Along the same lines, Charlie Coyle would have been a great nominee, I think. He had off-season knee surgery to repair multiple injuries, uh, including an avulsion fracture in his left kneecap, a small tear in his patellar tendon, another lengthy rehab, and he too has been able to come back and be a very key part of the Bruins lineup. 16 goals, 27 assists for 43 points so far this season. Again, not to take away anything from DeBrusk, I think framing it kind of as the COVID lockdowns, mental health struggles makes it a bit, more understandable than he made a trade request and he wasn't traded. He kept playing and now he's scoring goals on the first line. Okay, cool. But, playing through COVID lockdown, rebounding after those tough mental struggles, that's definitely worth mentioning. For me, my ballot would have been Pastrnak, Coyle. I don't even know if DeBrusk would have struck me as a guy to vote for, to be quite honest. But I can see why he was on the list. Maybe Linus Ullmark for battling through multiple seasons with the Buffalo Sabres and now finally getting a chance to play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Anyways, that's just a quick discussion, my perspective on it all. Again, I can totally understand not making a thing of Pasternak's trauma with his girlfriend, Rebecca Rolson, the passing of their son. But I do still think the way he's been able to play through the season, overcome some early rough patches, and really rediscover a joy for hockey. He didn't really seem happy early on this season, but he's firing in all cylinders now, injured, coming back, and he would have got my vote. Anyways, for what it's worth. Before we take a quick look at tonight's game against the Florida Panthers, a quick word about HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh has fit and wholesome recipes for satisfying and nutritious meals that you can feel good about, with 6 recipes per week to choose from, including low-calorie and carb-conscious options. You can customize your favorite dishes with their new Hello Custom offerings. Swap out one protein or side for another, upgrade for a more luxe experience, even add protein to a veggie meal. More choices, more variety, and more meals truly tailored to you. We had a HelloFresh trial a couple of years ago that someone signed us up for when we were going through illness in our family, and it was a huge help to get those fresh ingredients and easy to put together recipes. Right now, you can go to HelloFresh.com/LockedOn16 and use promo code LockedOn16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/LockedOn16. Use code LockedOn16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. I want to thank you so much again for making Locked On Boston Bruins the first listen of your day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NHL game with analysis from our local experts, free and available wherever you get podcasts. Now, what is on tap for the Boston Bruins? That would be a game tonight against the Florida Panthers. Pretty crazy that the Bruins haven't played the Panthers since October 30th. They played Florida twice in the month of October. They lost 4-1 in like the 5th game of the season. They played them 2 nights later and beat Florida in a 3-2 shootout decision. Linus Ullmark was the top performer in that game, and I would expect that he will get the start again tonight against the Florida Panthers after playing pretty well against the Rangers on Saturday. Got the day off on Sunday against the Montreal Canadiens. In that game, he stopped 33 of 35 shots against for a .943 save percentage. Now, the Florida Panthers have gone on to become quite a powerhouse in the NHL this season. In fact, they are currently challenging for the President's Trophy. They're well in the lead, actually. Well, not well in the lead, but they're 4 points up on the Colorado Avalanche. Each team has 3 games remaining on the schedule. The Panthers also lead the NHL in goal differential at a staggering plus 100. 332 goals for, only 232 goals against. At the other end of the spectrum, you have Montreal at minus 107 and Arizona at minus 110. The Panthers are also pretty high when it comes to underlying stats. This success is no fluke. They're led in scoring by Jonathan Huberdeau, who's challenging Connor McDavid for the Art Ross Trophy as the league's leading scorer. In fact, he held that position, I think, for like one night last week. He's now 3 points behind Connor McDavid. Alexander Barkov has 88 points in 66 games. Sam Reinhart, 79 points in 76 games. They have, let's see here, 4 30-goal scorers. Barkov, Reinhart, Anthony Duclair, and Jonathan Huberdeau. Sam Bennett up there with 27 in 69 games. Carter Verhaeghe also has hit the 22-goal mark. And then they have some young guys who are chipping in. Mason Marchment, Anton Lundell, Eetu Luostarinen. Also pretty talented on the back end. Aaron Ekblad, Brandon Montour, Gustav Forsling, Mackenzie Weegar. They have a couple of veterans that people might be rooting for to get their first cups in Joe Thornton, Claude Giroux. Sergei Bobrovsky in net with a .912 save percentage, 2.66 goals against average. He's backed up by a very talented young goalie in Spencer Knight. Add it all up, and the Florida Panthers are a very real force to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference, even in the, challenging for the Stanley Cup as a whole. One thing that going kind of against them is Sergei Bobrovsky's playoff stats for his career. A sub 900 save percentage in the postseason, including an 841 save percentage last season with the Florida Panthers. But it will be a good test for the Bruins. I would expect they'll have their full lineup going, trying to get everybody feeling good before the postseason. We had Pastrnak and Lindholm in the lineup Saturday. They sat out Sunday, that road game in Montreal. But I would expect they'll all be in the lineup tonight. The Bruins, with 3 games remaining on the schedule, 2 at home, 1 on the road. They'll finish up Friday in Toronto. That game will probably be pretty sparsely populated by NHL regulars. Probably get a full complement tonight for the Panthers game, Thursday for the final home game of the regular season against the Sabres, and then kind of take it easy on Friday. The playoffs starting Monday, May 2nd. Not sure if the Bruins will be in action that night, but they'll have just 2 days to rest and get ready for the playoffs. The Bruins not likely to play Florida in the first round. Right now, they're still locking down the first wild card spot. They're 3 points up on the Capitals, 3 points back of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Lightning play Columbus tonight, and the Capitals play the Islanders. So 2 winnable games for those 2 teams against non-playoff teams. We'll see if the Bruins can kind of stick in the middle between those 2 teams with a point or 2 of their own against the Florida Panthers. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar on the market, and if you haven't tried their puffs, you're really missing out. They're a protein-infused marshmallow bar, the first of its kind. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, delicious, covered in 100% chocolate, but they're also good for you. Low calorie, high protein. You can go to their macros chart at built.com and you'll be blown away by the stats here. About 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, dozens of net carbs. Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. I have no idea how they pull it off, but they do it every time. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 at built.com for 15% off your order. Thank you once again for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. You should definitely check out the Locked On NHL podcast now, breaking down all the top stories with help from our local experts. Now, just to wrap up, some news and notes from around the NHL. Jimmy Murphy, I guess we'll mention, he wrote on Boston Hockey Now that it seems as though Patrice Bergeron will either sign a 1-year contract with the Bruins this summer or retire as a Bruin. He does feel there's a slight chance the 36-year-old could test the market if the club fails to go on another serious Stanley Cup run over the next 2 months. He's saying numerous sources telling him that Bergeron will draw plenty of interest from other clubs if he tests the market on July 13th. Well, no shit. One of them could be the Montreal Canadiens. Former agent Kent Hughes is now the general manager. Don't expect him to sign with Montreal. They're kind of rebuilding. But Murphy wouldn't blame him if he decided to sign with the Stanley Cup contender. If you go to Spectre's Hockey, which I check out all my hockey news usually, they write, they can understand a bit of nervousness among Bruins fans over Bergeron's future. After all, Chara was cut loose 2 years ago, wound up signing with the Capitals. Completely different situation, as they felt that they wanted to go younger. They had better options than Zdeno Chara. There's no better option right now than Patrice Bergeron as the Bruins' first-line center. It's going to come down to what he wants on his next contract. If he wants a long-term deal, I don't think that'll happen. If he wants a raise, Don Sweeney could. No, that's not going to happen. He's not going to say, good luck, see you later. Bergeron has made no secret of his love for Boston, wanting to remain a Bruin. A 1 or 2 year deal would probably be ideal. It's worth noting that Bergeron was instrumental in bringing, say, Nick Foligno to the Bruins. They have a bunch of these veteran guys that they brought in through at least next season. Eric Howla, Thomas Nosek, Craig Smith, Nick Foligno. So for Bergeron to be like, yeah, come join us for one or two more cup runs, and then to sign with another team, that doesn't make sense at all. I could see him possibly saying, it's not even a case of, I can't play at my highest, because he's still playing at his highest level. He's in line to win the Selke Trophy. I would be very surprised if he chose to retire, and absolutely flabbergasted if he signed with another team. I think he'll be back for at least one more season with this group. And, at the end of 2022, 2023, you have, Pastrnak will be seeking a new deal. Foligno will be coming off the books. Smith off the books. Howell off the books. Nosek off the books. So that would be a point in time where it would make sense for him to possibly walk away, and the Bruins would start to retool. But I can't see it. I can't see him signing with another team, and I can't see him walking away with the rest of this group that he was vocal in putting together. Still trying to make good. I think he'll be back for one more year at least to try to win with this current club. First round exit, might make him rethink things, but it has been a weird year with another COVID shutdown, bringing some new guys in. Maybe there'll be some more stability heading into next season with everybody in place, everybody familiar with each other, and I could see next year being his last kick at the can. Anyways, that's it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. Thank you so much for taking some time to listen. I hope you have a great Tuesday and that you are all doing well. Congrats to the Celtics fans out there. Condolences to the Red Sox fans out there. Not going to lie, I was very thrilled with the Blue Jays win last night. I was watching that more than basketball for sure. Anyways, thank you so much again for listening. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back tomorrow here on the Locked On Bruins podcast to recap tonight's game against the Panthers, maybe answer some mailbag questions, and look ahead to the final two games of the regular season. Take care, friends. We'll talk to you again tomorrow here on the Locked On Bruins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day.